This is lodgepole pine. This is a tree that came down a few years ago, or Steve cut it down because we were making a trail through our property. He actually realized in hindsight he could have left it, but nonetheless, I have used a lot of this tree for the cabin build. And I think I used it for the timber framing or the post and beam. And I know pine isn't ideal because it shrinks longitudinally, but it's not a home, it's just a little bunkie, so I'm going to keep using it. I could have used the bobcat to get it up to the log dogs. Oh, heavy. It's a big log. Sometimes I'm a bit sketched out with myself with trying to do fine movements with the machine. Like, I don't want to push it and like tilt something, but I think I might need to, I don't want to roll it, I just want it to go over more. Should have started it before I put it up. This is a pretty big log, big in diameter, to where I have in the past been able to turn logs just by hand on my own. When I first got the sawmill, the first thing that Steve and I built was our secondary carport, and I milled every single piece of lumber for that big carport. And in there were some really, really big hemlock, like heavy hemlock, 16 footers. And they were massive. I don't think they were as big in diameter, but I rotated those on my own with the cant hook and just shimmying things. I'm contemplating trying that with this log. The difference is I don't have as much playroom on the bunk to move it over and roll it. And yeah, it is just really heavy. So the smart thing to do would be to use the machine. So I think I'm going to go up and get the forklift attachment on the Bobcat. It's just up by the house, like past the house. And we try to not, I at least try to not drive over the lawn back and forth a whole bunch of times if I don't need to. I try to plan things out so we don't chews the grass up really badly. So what I'm going to do, because I need to go up there and get the forklift, I'm going to bring some of the other logs down with the forklift. A friend came and dropped off a big truck full of trees from his land that he was clearing, and it's not as though we don't have a whole lot of trees, but he just offered them to me and was going to deliver them, so I said sure.
Are you giving me a bark? Are you giving me a bark? Okay.
Okay, Norton, stay down here. Yeah, I think just dump it here, and then I'll just take the Bobcat and Norton.
Down.
Norton.
No.
Norton, stay down. Yeah, and I'll just move them over to the side. Yeah, just take care. Treat. Norton, stay down. It's a bad habit, Norton. Stay down. Clyde? Clyde! Come here. Clyde! We got some logs. And in there is a few birch trees, which we don't have any birch on our property here. I just said, yeah, like why not? And what else to do birch with other than flooring? I don't know what else to use it for. Now, I'm typically not a fan of birch wood flooring, but I don't know what else I would use it for. So this is for the cabin, obviously. So I'm gonna go up and get those logs, bring them down here. Then I've got the forklift attachment down here, and I can play around with getting this log turned. Here's this lovely bunch of logs. So with the exception of 3 birch, the rest is cedar. So birch, birch, birch. Those are the ones that I want. So I'm just gonna kind of take a few, because they all kind of need to go down to where the sawmill is anyway, and away from the driveway, because when the snow comes, we need to be plowing this. So I'm just gonna take one load down. So I just lifted up with the forklifts, brought it back a little bit. So hopefully I can roll it. I'm always losing safety glasses, so I'm just grabbing whatever I've got laying around. I find for me the key is having like little wedges to prevent it from rolling back. Adjust it a little bit and then we're good. Perfect. This pair, oh, it's crooked. This pair. Or this pair. Blue. I like it. Blue it is. Broke my broom. My little Ryobi leaf blower I have here, but it's just up in the house. But look at how big these are. Like, that is a serious wide plank, man. Pretty crazy cool. So I think this one bit of log that I've got is probably going to be all I'm going to need for more wall boards, I think. Anyway, I of course have dogs and they need to be walked, so I'm going to take a little break from this, tend to the puppies, and come back and turn that now and then carry on. So I've needed to tighten the belt, which is my, if you've been following for a while or maybe you just saw that video, you will know that the belt tensioning on this sawmill has been my biggest complaint about it, because it doesn't move squarely. It's just not engineered very well. So I've got it tighter. Problem is that it was out of square a little bit, which is what it always does no matter how much I try. And what I end up doing is barely loosening off all of the four corners, just barely, and then I tighten it, and then I get it to where I want it to be, and then I really tighten this point, because this is the point I don't want to move anymore, and that's the one I do. I want that one to go in more, and this one to stay. It's hard to explain. Anyway, but then what I ended up doing is last year or the year before, maybe it was last year, I put that extra nut here so that I can clamp that and try and pull that, because it twists like that. So to try to push that in more, and I got it as close as I can possibly do it. It's kind of a two-person job, to be honest, and the earplug is just there because this clamp just keeps sliding off. So it just kind of, it added an extra bit of grip. So I cinched it in with the clamp, tightened these two, and it's maybe like a millimeter off or something, but it's gonna have to do. Donkey. It's in my plan, it's on the list to figure out a way to make that work a bit better. It's not that I don't have ideas. You guys have ideas too for me, but it's just implementing things that takes the time. So haven't had time yet. One day. Anyway, I'm gonna change the blade too. Flip her around. Look at how ridiculous this is. So this is a foot. So 12, like 13.5 inches. It's insane. This is where those rollers on there would be nice. My day wouldn't be complete if I wasn't having to drive and go into the forest to retrieve Clyde. So I've driven as far as I can go, and I gotta hike in 200 yards. There he is. I see him now. Clyde! Hello, you frickin' doof. Clyde! I think he was lost. He's pretty excited to see me. Holy moly, bud. Took me a while to get to him because he's just at a standstill, so I had to freaking hike through thick, steep terrain. Slippery. Clyde! Good morning, everyone. Today is the next day, and it snowed again overnight. It's supposed to be snowing for the day, but it's no precipitation currently. Looks iffy. Anyway, I think I will have included that I had to go get Clyde last night. So basically, once I finished at the Sawmill here, I went in and Steve had just got home, and no Clyde yet. So, and I had checked a couple times throughout the day, his GPS collar was on. I put him out around noon, and he has been so good about coming home. 95% of the time over the last 5 months, he has showed up back at the door. And sometimes we get a little bit lazy and don't put the collar on. He comes home. I just so happened to put his GPS collar on. I thought he was just going to go out for a pee, and turns out, yeah, he was bored and took off. And I think it was the snow coming down that screwed up his scent and his paths, because he's been over that way before. He had kind of been going back and forth, and anyway, long story short, I had to drive, go on a little off-road and hike in about 200 yards to get him, and he just was lost. He was so excited to see me. I mean, he's always excited when we go get him, but he was panicking kind of, as you could see in the footage. Anyway, what I need to do today, I need to mill. I'm going to finish milling that. I'm going to mill this birch. I've never milled hardwood before, and I know it's not the hardest hardwood, but it's the hardest thing I've ever milled. So I'm going to do that one. It's on there. It's kind of a funny shape, so I'm hoping that I can efficiently mill it without wasting too much material. I'm going to do the other little piece that's down here. I'm going to do a little bit more lodgepole pine that's there, because although I think I have enough material now for walls, for wall boards, I'm just not quite sure, and I would rather have more than not enough. So it either sits there and gets a little bit more rotten over the winter. I'm not going to do all of it, but I'm going to mill a little bit more of it. And then lastly, I want to go foraging through the forest for siding. Now, as some of you may remember, last year I had a tree come down and fall and smash my shed. And it was like a cedar tree that has like a fungus that kills it, and it was like a blackened stuff. I never would have ever thought to mill that if that tree didn't fall on my shed. And it turned out to be such a cool material, and I used it for the siding on my little shed on the cliff. And to make things match, and because it looked so cool, I'm going to use the same stuff. So there is more of that tree that fell down, but I also want to rummage through the forest and get as much of that material as I can and get it out of the depths of the forest and up towards the mill. And hopefully I can mill some before I shut the mill down for the winter. If not, I guess I do that in the spring. But having it up here is half the battle. So that is the plan for the day, and it's 9:30 a.m. Let's go. There's that flip. Not so good. That's a massive gap on those two. I don't know. Don't know if this is worth it. Well, I'll carry on. So that's where I've got it to now. I don't know if it's worth it, to be honest. Maybe a bigger birch that's more straight. But now my boards, my bottom has a little bit, but this mill can only mill down to 1 inch, so I'm not going to be able to use the bottom board anyway, so I'm going to keep that as my waist and work my way down. So I've got like 6-inch wide boards by 7 inches, so I'll get like 7 boards. So there's a lot of waste. Like all of this stuff is waste over there. So I basically had to do a lot of work to get it to this place. All right, folks, there you have it. I believe that's 8 boards. The bottom one, a bit questionable. I did them a 5/8 of an inch thick. And yeah, so 8 boards. That gives me like 4 feet. I'm gonna stack this. I think I'm gonna put the other birch on. You guys have already seen this, enough of this. I'm just gonna burn through it. And yeah, if there's something exciting, I'll show you. I just went in and had some lunch. It was like noon. Put my gloves in the dryer because they were drenched. So took a bit of the moisture off them. And man, is it ever getting greasy around here. We could have a mud fight. Let's mill the birch. But I don't need to show you guys that, I really don't think. All right, I had to go get fuel at the store. So that set me back a little bit, but done. There's kind of this cool, I suppose that's kind of maybe rot, like starting to rot. I'm not sure. I guess it's a flaw, but I see it's throughout. Ooh. So, hope I love it, because that's what I get. Hopefully I'm gonna have enough. I might have to mill up that other little one that I've got up in the driveway. Now I think I'm gonna I'll load all this up, do my, it's not snow, do my little thing where I go unload this wood off the forklift just so I can load a log onto the mill. I'll do that again. There's a chunk of hemlock I also could use, or I'll just take a piece of that lodgepole pine. I'll just see whatever suits my fancy at the time. Okay, took a 7-foot chunk of the pine, really long one there. And this too is super irregular shaped. It's got lots of weird little stuff going on, which just makes it so much harder to mill. But hey. This side too, super weird. Look at that. Big branch. Interesting. It's 3 p.m. and just keep plugging away. I really have like 2 hours. If I can't finish this, I'm gonna go get the cedar. So this is like super cool, really. Look at that. I do have to change my blade though. It's struggling. Right here, I had a really hard time getting through this. So I'm not sure, like, should I take another slab out of this and use that as something? Like, I don't know, put epoxy in those gaps. It's kind of a cool thing. I don't know. I feel like I'm working a lot today and not getting much material. Like, look at that. Look how much difference that is. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway. Okay, I'm actually, it's almost 4. I'm just kind of running around. I'm running out of time. I think rather than change the blade and continue on this painful pine, I'm gonna go into the forest and try and at least source my cedar siding. My plan of attack. Go down, bring the bobcat up with the lumber on it, leave the lumber up here in the driveway, like get it off the forklifts, fill up with fuel, take the bobcat with the forklift, pick up that last birch, take that down, put that by the mill, then go into the forest and retrieve all of those little cedar rounds that I cut up the other day. Reflexes like a jungle cat. Like, look at this. This is so cool. I never would have thought to use this wood, to mill this wood, or to use it for anything if that tree didn't come down on my shed. I just thought this was like rotten, and it's not. It's like prehistoric looking or enchanted, mystical. I don't know, it's so cool. Help me out. What's the word to describe these logs? Now, today is the day. I love the forest. I love the forest.